a few days late to the party. But the background to this is that allegedly there was a bomb threat called into Simon Harris's house, or a threat was made about there being a bomb in Simon Harris's house. And let's just look at this man's reaction. We're not saying whether he is in the know, whether he is denying it, whether he is pushing a false story. We're not saying any of that, or whether he's telling the truth or not. But let's just examine it and put yourself in his position, okay? So you're the leader of a country, apparently, and there's been a bomb threat to your house where your family is. How do you think you would react to this? Let's just have a look at it.
Look, in relation to my own situation, I don't really wish to comment on it other than to say, obviously this is a...
Look at his face. So once he starts talking about it, he kind of has a disinterested look to his face, or an even tone, a little somewhat dismissive. It's no big deal to me. Not really worth commenting on, but I'll say a few words here.
Really unacceptable situation.
Now, the words that people use are interesting. So he's speaking, I suppose, really superficially and technically here. So there was a bomb threat against me and my family, and I see that as entirely unacceptable. Is that a natural response, do you think, to something so severe? So, for all intents and purposes, if the bomb was legitimate and the threat was legitimate, this man could have been blown up in his own home with his family. And he calls it entirely unacceptable. To me, that's an odd way of phrasing things. So, either this man is totally devoid of a connection with his emotions, which the more you watch him, the more that seems to be the case. There's something inauthentic about the way he speaks. It doesn't seem appropriate for his tone never seems appropriate to the situation. I don't know what the story is with him in terms of, and there's words going around that he has Asperger's, or he's on the spectrum. That might be so, okay, because the way he speaks, it does put forward the idea that he's disconnected from it. His intellect is disconnected from his emotional world, because again, if you're threatened with being blown up, to come out and say, in the strongest position politically and probably not socially, but you get what I'm saying, politically in Ireland, to come out and say something forceful and look strong. And I think this is what he tries to do a lot, is he tries to look like he's speaking with authority. And his nature and his character just fails him all the time, because it makes him look false. From my perspective anyway, it makes him look like he's performing, he's pretending. What he's saying, it doesn't really have any weight behind it. And that just might be his nature and his character and personality. But it doesn't strike one with inspiration listening to this person, okay?
Even the word hoax, I'm not sure is a fair word with respect, because I've no doubt these things are done to intimidate, to upset.
Again, these things are done to upset people. Are those serious phrases to be using if you're having if you're responding to such a situation as a bomb being threatened to explode in your home? I don't know. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre watching this man. I don't know whether he's caught in a situation where he's trying to downplay it, where he knows he has to address it, but he doesn't want to look scared, or if he knows that there's no real weight behind the threat and he's just trying to use it for point scoring in some way. Who knows with this guy? But it's just bizarre turn of phrase. The wording always seems totally out of context. There doesn't seem to be any human connection in terms of emotion being connected to what he's saying, and it's just bizarre listening to him.
I have young children. I have a wife.
Even the way it's like he's trying to recount details or data that he was told is useful in this situation. So I have children. I have a wife. It's like he's just remembering things. Bizarre.
this is an utterly unacceptable situation. I do think, and I say this really respectfully,
It's just weird. It's just weird. What are you saying really respectfully? Why do you have to say you're saying something really respectfully? Let your tone speak for itself. You don't always have to couch the middle portion of what you're saying with nice sounding things on either end, or an appeal to force, or an appeal to try and look forceful in what you're saying. Just speak normally, speak naturally, and let your personality and character carry you. You know? I just think it's so bizarre watching this guy.
I do think all of us in our discourse, including media, need to reflect on how we sometimes comment on these matters.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, as an elected representative, or as someone who's in this, again, the strongest political position you can be in Ireland, on paper at least, okay? Would you not, hang on a second now.
Reflect on how we sometimes comment on these matters. You know,
Yeah, like, so vague phrases and vague sentences that don't really mean anything without context, and he doesn't give context. So, what I'm saying is, in the strongest political position in Ireland you could be on paper, would you not be coming out and speaking for the truth, instead of saying we need to reflect on how we speak about these issues, how we respond to these issues? Like, that's a given. Human beings should be reflecting on things that they're doing all the time. You know, coming out saying that in the position you're in, it doesn't mean anything. You're not offering anything new to people. You know, a new way of interrogating your own thought patterns or your own motivations. You're just saying something that people should be doing anyway. And again, there's no context to it, so it doesn't mean anything.
if masked men turned up outside your house, it wouldn't be described as protest. It's not protest when it happens outside my house either.
Again, you don't get to decide that. It might very well be. So, is the problem now with masks? Because he had no problem with masks for the last few years. Okay, is there different types of masks you're allowed to wear? Does do the clothes or the attire that you're wearing dictate the behavior that you're involved in? That's a bizarre statement to make. Again, like, he's speaking, and again, I get it, I understand it, and it will connect with people what he's speaking about, because it's emotionally charged. He's trying to he is painting the image of you looking out your sitting room window and seeing people with masks on, protesting or standing outside your gate. He's saying that wouldn't be a protest, or that wouldn't be classed as a protest if it was happening outside your home. Therefore, it's not a protest when it's happening outside mine. Hang on a second, Simon. Context matters. The context of him telling me that it's not a protest if I see someone with masks outside my sitting window. Of course it's not. Why would they be protesting me? I'm not in a political position. There's nothing to protest me about. I'm not making policies that affect people's lives. So the context is relevant. This man is not in the same situation as 99.9% of the rest of the population. He's an elected official who's been making policies, who's been enforcing things happening in this country that people who put him in office and pay his rent and pay his wages, okay, they don't want what's happening and what he's continuing to force onto people. And they've every right to go protest. So what he's trying to do is, instead of speak to the legal side of it, which there's nothing illegal about protesting outside somebody's home. Okay? Otherwise, these people will be arrested for protesting outside someone's home, which you cannot do. You have a constitutional right to be able to protest. He just doesn't like it because it's literally too close to home for him. That's fair enough, but it's still a legally protected activity. Okay? So what he's trying to do is take your sight away from that and point to it being wrong by involving your emotions into it and getting you to empathize with a situation that he's involved in. And he's trying to get you to see that the situation would be the exact same if it was happening to you as it is when it's happening to him. That's not the case. This man is not speaking out of his office here. He's not giving you the telling detail, which is he is in the strongest political leadership role in Ireland you can get. So policies that he's making is going to have a natural effect on people, and there's going to be a consequence to that, and that consequence seems to be people protesting outside his home. Okay, so whether it's lawful or not is the legitimate point that he should be making here, and he evades that. He makes an emotional argument when he should be making the legal one. Okay, he should be seeking to speak to these people, because if any of ye listening to this, if there was people outside your home protesting for something, you'd want to understand what they're doing there. If you're just totally bewildered as to what they're doing, but he just writes it off as they're trying to upset me. This is craziness. And again, this guy is weird in how he speaks about things, what he's neglectful in sharing, and even in the comparisons and the comparisons he's trying to make to put context on the situation. It just makes it even worse and more muddled, and it makes him look aimless in terms of what he's saying. It makes him look petty, and it makes him look intellectually not up there, okay? Because he's trying to appeal to your emotions and your empathy to get you on side with a situation that is totally incomparable to yours because it's happening to him, okay? So just nonsense talk. He doesn't really say anything here. It's all prepared talk, empty points, and strange, disconnected, effective words, or lack of effective words even.
And you know, this situation can't be allowed to continue.
Do you think you're gonna have to move, or are you staying in your own apartment?
I'm staying in my home.
Like, he was asked there, do you think you'll have to move or will you stay in your home? And like a 1990s action hero, this is his response.
I'm staying in my home.
I'm staying in my home, baby. There's no one moving me out. Ain't no bomb going to get rid of me. So that's the impression you get off it. And again, in all seriousness, would this man be allowed to stay in his home if that bomb threat was deemed legitimate enough to warrant it being called a bomb threat? Okay, I don't think so. So that's Simon Harris again, just an odd fellow, and I'm not sure what decisions he's making. It would surprise me very much so if I was to learn that this man was indeed in control of his steps. It just a bizarre person to me.